Welcome to Mission Imperfect, the podcast about navigating the twists and turns of life and embracing the imperfections of the journey.
We're your hosts, life coaches Catherine and Kirsty, and our mission is to support you in finding your own path, your own way, with greater clarity and self trust, no matter how messy or uncertain things may seem.
We address the roadblocks that come up time and time again for our coaching clients, from acceptance and boundaries to values and well-being and everything in between.
As well as asking lots of questions, a coach's favourite thing to do, we'll be sharing thoughts and insights and offering plenty of tips, tools, and techniques for you to try.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to grab a cuppa and a biscuit and join us in getting lost in finding ourselves.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Mission Imperfect. This is another follow-up episode. So from last week, when we were talking about thinking no and saying yes, this week we're back talking about how to help you move to thinking no and saying no. So we're being consistent.
Yes, getting rid of that cognitive dissonance, which is a lovely phrase, isn't it?
Mm,
And I mean, we did emphasize this in the last episode, but I think it's worth saying again. This is very much about saying no when you want to. There's nothing wrong with saying yes all the time if you feel good about it. So this is aimed at anyone who keeps finding themselves responding internally with, no, I'd rather gouge my own eyeballs out with a rusty fork, while outwardly smiling sweetly and going, yes, of course, I'd love to.
that's a little bit
But
radical. There might be others who are just in the no, I really don't want to, and then slightly begrudgingly saying yes. I mean, that
oh,
example is
really?
quite extreme.
You think so? Just me then. Okay.
Yeah.
Glad glad we established that. I shall go away and ponder on that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, my first suggestion as a tip for not just saying yes, even though you don't want to, is don't answer straight away. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean just staring silently at somebody and refusing to say anything. What I mean by that is give yourself a chance to break the programming that habitually, that was a hard word to say, habitually has you saying yes. And you can do that by buying yourself some time to consider. And I'm going to say as well, a regretted no isn't any better than a regretted yes. So if you are unsure, this buys you that little bit of time. So come up with a couple of holding answers that you feel comfortable with. So rather than that straight yes or no, something like, let me get back to you on that. There's a couple of things I need to check before I can confirm. I mean, partners and kids are really useful in this context because you can say something like, oh, I need to check with my partner. I need to make sure the kids aren't doing something. Or I'd need to sort out the kids. You know, that's great ways of just creating a bit of a pause. And
Definitely. I
anyone
think when
who's
you,
going to push you on that is for being
yeah,
unreasonable straight away, aren't they?
absolutely. I think there isn't an argument really for let me get back to you on that, or I need to check on a couple of things. I mean, who are you to say, well, no, tell me now? I mean, because if you're going
Yeah.
to force someone to say something, there you're actually giving them actually a lot of leeway to say that no, because they were giving you a
Yes.
possible, it's still possibly a yes or a no. I need to think about it, consider something, check something, whatever. And if you're insisting on them giving you an immediate answer, then you're actually almost giving them permission to say, well, no, I can't. So therefore,
Yeah.
you've made that decision for me. So actually, I think that's a really good way of giving yourself a little bit of space when you put under
Mm.
pressure to say yes or no. I think it's hard to, isn't it? Know that you're making what feels like a good call. So you're far more likely to be able to do that if you give yourself that bit of space. Because then you consider the do I want to? How will this inconvenience me? Actually, I
Mm.
can do that. It will fit in. All of those things, you can actually take them into
Yeah.
balanced consideration before you give your answer.
You've got that bit of time, haven't you? And
Mm.
yeah, if somebody says, no, I need to know now, then exactly as you say, that opens up the way to say, well, I'm sorry, in that case, it's going to have to be a no because I can't actually commit at this point. So I'm going to have to say no, sorry, job done. So yeah, I mean, that phrase might work for you. It might be about finding out the phrase or the excuse, however you like to look at it. Nothing wrong with an excuse now and then, but that works for you. And once you've done that, once you've got a little bit of time, then I would suggest that you explore your motives for both the responses that are coming up for you, for the no and the yes. So consciously understanding and owning that no response is a good foundation for acting on it. I think something we talk about a lot, raising awareness of what you're thinking and how you're feeling and what's going on for you. So, what is it that's causing you to think, no, I don't want to do it? And what is it that is causing you to feel that you should say yes? And we talked about a lot of the potential reasons for that in the last episode. But there can be lots more and they can be way more specific. Oh, and once you've considered those two things, how do you feel about those answers? What's coming up for you around that? And what does that tell you? I mean, to give a real life example that happened towards the end of last year, I'd been in my day job for not quite a year at that point, and it was the coming up for Christmas. And my boss approached me going, "Oh, I was just looking for you. I've got the list. Are you signing up for the staff Christmas do?"
Oh, it's an on the spot question, isn't it?
Now, if you're an introvert like me, just the phrase staff Christmas do makes my blood run cold.
Hmm.
It is in my head an instant. No, I mean we are seriously in gouging my own eyeballs out with a rusty fork territory here. But when I think about where that no is coming from, well, I don't really in, generally enjoy socializing in big noisy groups in noisy places with lots going on in them. I prefer smaller groups and quieter environments. I'm happier socializing people I know quite well, and although I had a passing acquaintance with my colleagues, it wasn't sort of a significant relationship at all. And of course, there's the Christmas finances. Everybody's running out of money at Christmas, and you want to prioritize where you're going to be spending that.
And your time and energy as well, because there's
Yeah,
always a lot on your plate at that time of year as well, isn't there?
absolutely. So those are all the reasons I didn't want to do it. So why was I feeling that I should be saying yes? Well, there's that desire for connection. You do want to have friends and be accepted by people and be part of the group. There's a sense of what will they think if I don't? Will I be considered, antisocial or I don't know, snobby or not that, will they think I don't like them? And there's the old thing of, oh, I'll probably enjoy it once I'm there. But when I actually thought that through, the the yes felt really performative. It didn't feel genuine at all. It was trying to force a sense of connection and to do what was expected of me. So it was what that was telling me. I didn't want to go. The no was the genuine answer, but there was a whole load of sort of external programming kicking in to make me see that as the wrong response. So I actually said no. And immediately the colleague who was with my boss said, "Oh, she doesn't like us." And you think,
Oh, really? Did you say no and then offer any kind of explanation, or did you just say no?
if I remember rightly, I think I just said, "Oh, no, no, thanks, not this time," sort of thing.
Oh, I
A bit.
like it. Yeah.
So I was a bit caught on the hop, and because I didn't take my own advice of "Can I get back to you?" So I sort of fumbled it a bit. And the colleague who, I mean, she was only joking when she said she doesn't like us, but of course that hit a bit of a vulnerable spot. But I laughed it off and said, I just don't like people. It's not you specifically. At which
No,
point my boss turned around and went, "Oh, I hear you. I wouldn't be going if I didn't have to."
well, that's interesting, isn't it? When it actually almost gives other people permission to say no as well. Obviously, she for other reasons felt that she couldn't say no as the boss. Perhaps she feels that I have to go. But for other people, it's interesting. They think, well, if someone else has said no, I can too. That's another way to look at
Yeah,
it, isn't it?
yeah, it sort of opens up options for everybody. But yeah, in saying the no and sticking to it, even when I got hit in a really vulnerable spot by the reaction, it wasn't meant unkindly, it was jokey.
Yeah.
But sticking to that, it felt really good.
Mm,
And yeah, the sky didn't fall in. Nothing changed in the way people treated me or the relationships I had with them. It was all fine.
that's good.
Almost an anticlimax.
Also, the relief probably also told you that it was
Yes.
definitely the right decision as well.
Oh, definitely. I felt so relieved that I didn't have to talk myself into enjoying that. It can work. I think sometimes we build these things up to be bigger than they have to be, which leads on to the next suggestion, which is consider what is the worst that will happen if you do say no. Now, into sort of, the worst case scenario here. if you've got a whole list, maybe write it down and then take a look at that list or the big thing that came up for you. How likely is it to actually happen? How would you deal with it if it did? And what's this telling you about your relationship with the person you're saying no to, and or about your own fear of rejection and need to people please? And what happens when you do that is very often you realize that those things are very, very unlikely to happen. And if you actually think about how you would handle it if they did, then suddenly they become manageable. They don't seem so terrifying. And that helps bring it all into perspective a little bit. A bit like how I was building up saying no to going to the staff Christmas do as resulting in a much bigger thing around nobody wanting to talk to me and everybody hating me forever. It's very unlikely that that was going to happen. And it didn't. Well, I don't think it did. They might hate me. They haven't showed it.
I'm sure they don't.
And so following on from what's the worst case scenario and how likely is it, how would you handle it? Ask yourself, what's the best outcome if you say no? Actually visualize yourself saying no. How good is it going to feel to say, sorry, no, or no, thank you, no, I can't do it, however you want to say no. How good would it feel to do that and for it to be received with understanding and respect? Because that's the best case scenario for all of us who are worried about saying no,
Yeah,
right? And in fact, that visualization of a good outcome of a situation is a recognized technique for dealing with anxiety. Because apparently our brains aren't very good at distinguishing between what we think could happen and a real situation. They will
yeah,
still generate the same kind of feelings and emotions around both. So if you are there telling yourself, it could go like this, let's experience it in our heads. The brain goes, oh, yeah, that's nice.
you can also, I've heard, it's quite a good practice to sometimes, if you're really not used to saying no and you have genuine fears about responses to that, all the things we discussed last week, you can practice it in a really sort of low risk setting, just so you
Mm-hmm.
can literally get used to this idea of the word no coming out. That might sound really trite to use it in the low risk setting, but it's just getting used to the practice of someone hearing that response from you and you hearing it from yourself, so that when it comes to the higher stakes stuff, which does involve your time, your energy, like going to the Christmas do when you really don't want to, the difference between saying that yes and them going, okay, great, put you down, see you then, and your heart's sinking and thinking that's my Tuesday evening gone, and oh god, I'm dreading it, and I have to make small talk and all those things, to you saying, oh no, thank you, and then going, okay, that's fine, see you tomorrow, and you're like, wow, the
Yeah,
difference in your, and then you've still got your evening and all of those things, and you didn't really, nothing really actually happened other than you giving a true response over one that wasn't really your intention, and someone
yeah,
receiving it just as a, okay, that's fine, move on.
yeah, yeah. It's eye-opening when it happens. It really is.
Mm,
And the final suggestion is actually find the right way for you of phrasing the no. Because yes, we
yeah,
hear, no is a complete sentence and just say no, etc. But it really isn't that easy to do that for a lot of us or in every situation. And even when you know that that's what you want to say, even if you know it's a no, it probably won't necessarily feel easy or comfortable to express it. Certainly not if you're not used to doing it. So maybe have a think about how other people have said no to you, because we've all experienced people saying no to us. So when people have done that, what about their approach has felt good to you? What's made it seem gentler and more acceptable and inoffensive to you? And when people said no, what's made it seem unpleasant and hurtful? Because consider just, I think we mentioned this before, just being honest with people about why you're saying no. Just explain it. You have a right to feel the way you do. And the right people will understand that, and they're going to be willing to respect your needs just as you do theirs. As we've mentioned it quite a lot, this isn't about saying no all the time. Because if you're worried about saying no to people, you're somebody who cares and wants to help, and you will be out there doing stuff for other people. You'll be considering their needs, and you will be making compromises sometimes anyway. And as we said in the last episode about saying no, sorry, saying yes sometimes when you're thinking no, because you recognize the particular situation a person is in, and you're willing to compromise. So you will still be respecting other people's needs, and it is perfectly reasonable to expect them to be able to respect your needs too. So be honest about what's going on for you and your feelings and what you want. Consider just softening the no, adding an apology or thanks. Maybe suggest alternatives. If they're looking for help with something, maybe somebody else could help or a way it could be done more easily for them, or a different date or a different venue or something. If they're suggesting going somewhere that doesn't really work for you, it doesn't have to be a no, absolutely not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it could involve compromise, could involve a
Yeah,
suggestion, might still end up being a no, actually, but at least you have reached out with what you thought was, as long as you do it, I think genuinely, like, I this would work for me, and it does, and that's what you propose, then it's up to them to say, well, actually, maybe that doesn't work for me. So in a way, then you've
yeah,
both perhaps ended up saying no, but for genuine and right reasons. It hasn't put all
mm,
the pressure on the one person to be the one that's saying no.
yeah. It's a mutually collaborative thing
Yeah.
coming to an arrangement where you're going to do something together or one person is going to help another. I mean, some examples where you might say no, sorry, I'm running on empty at the moment, but who else might be able to help? Or if you know somebody who might be able to do it, suggesting them. No, thanks, it's not my kind of thing, but I really appreciate that you're thinking of me. Perhaps we could do something else another time. Could be sorry, one I use quite a lot now. Sorry, I need some depeopling time. I actually use it to people who know me quite well now, and they understand that. And
Mm,
if it really, particularly my husband, if it really matters, he will let me know that it matters, and I will compromise on it.
yeah.
So what if you're pushed to change your no to a yes? And we touched on this last time, didn't we? If you're saying no and somebody's being really pushy and not accepting it, then ask them what makes it so important to them, or why it has to be you that does this thing with
Mm,
or for them. And maybe the answer will actually change your mind. Maybe it will change your perspective on it, and you'll want to say yes. And maybe it will show that your no is perfectly valid. Either is okay. But the fact that somebody else isn't accepting your answer doesn't mean you have to change your answer.
definitely.
So I think we can summarize our tips, tools, and techniques for thinking no and saying no as delay. Find a phrase that isn't a yes or a no that buys you some time, something like "Let me get back to you." Then explore both the no and the yes motivation. What's making you want to say those things? How do you feel about it? What does it tell you? Have a think about the worst case scenario if you say a no, and the best case scenario if you say a no, and find the right way for you of expressing the no so that you can feel comfortable and natural using it.
And if this is something you really do struggle with, then obviously please do consider reaching out to either one of us. This is the kind of work that we love to support our clients with. It comes under so many things we talk about, doesn't it, Kirsty? Things like boundaries, values, all the overlap between these things, so that we're living in a way that feels right for us, that we're able to say yes to the things that we actually want to, but also no to the things that we want to as well. And it can be hard to draw that
Absolutely.
separation, and they end up crossing over, and it does that for many of us. And we love to support people in getting those boundaries a little bit more firmly in place.
Yes, we certainly do. And we're people who accept a no. If you
Yeah,
talked to either one of us about coaching and wanting to work with us, and at the end of that conversation, you actually don't feel it's right, a no is accepted because coaching doesn't work if it's not right for both of us.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Right, I think we have covered everything for today, so we shall see you soon for another episode. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Mission Imperfect. We'd love to hear your thoughts on any of our episodes, especially if you've had a light bulb moment in answering one of the questions, have benefited from one of the tips, or have a suggestion for an episode topic.
And if these conversations have made you curious about how coaching could help you, please don't hesitate to get in touch with one or both of us to find out more about what we offer. Until next time, keep being imperfectly you. No one does it better.